So, happy Father's Day. We take this day to honor our fathers. And that may be tough for some of us. Christina was talking about her father, and she's got great memories of her father. And some of us may not have so great memories of our fathers. My dad was raised by an alcoholic mom and an enabling mother. And a father who was an attorney, who was immersed in his life as an attorney and couldn't get to his feelings. It wasn't a part of who he was. And I know that my grandfather and my father and I are all doing the best that we can in every moment. That sometimes we're amazing and sometimes we're not. We're not all one thing. And my dad, he was gone a lot. He did what his dad did. He immersed himself in his job. My dad was a commercial pilot, and he was brilliant at it. My brother once was flying with him in a 737, and he said, "Hey, Dad," they were landing, and he said to my dad, "Hey, Dad, grease it in." And my brother was kind of like, I'm going to tweak my dad. And my dad looked at him and kind of smiled and sat up in the chair and kind of positioned himself. And he landed that plane without a bump. It was perfect. And he turned around and my brother and smiled. But he knew what he was doing. He and that plane were one. He had it down. And he did it very well. And he studied hard to do what he was doing. But it took him away from us a lot. He'd be gone for like 2 months. And he'd come home for a little while, and he'd be gone for a couple more months. So I didn't get an opportunity to spend a lot of time with my dad, but unfortunately the time that we did spend, all of us kids were dancing around because my dad was a yeller. And you never knew when the yeller was going to come out. And you were like, oh, everything's great, and then you stepped on a landmine and boom! So you were always tiptoeing. You were always watching. My brothers and sisters are 7, 8, and 9 years older than I was. And they tried to warn me. Things had happened, and they go, don't tell Dad. Don't let him come home. Let him decompress, and then tell him. And sure enough, I walk, Dad, so-and-so, so-and-so. And he didn't know how to express his love. He loved me. I knew it to the bottom of my heart. I knew my dad loved me. But he couldn't express it. And he's still an individualized expression of God. He did the best he could in any given moment. And given his past, it was understandable. A brilliant friend of mine, Reverend Christina Lair, said we were in a practitioner class. And she brought up this idea, this concept, a Buddhist concept of interdependent co-arising. And she explained it, and I'm probably going to mess this up, but this is what I got from it. But she explained it as, she started with a tree and said, look at a tree. That tree didn't just poof, end up there. Nothing happens in a vacuum. She said, in the ground, there's the worms and the insects and the microbes and the biome, the earthly biome that works together to fertilize the ground, the decay from the leaves and the things around it, to fertilize the ground to get ready for that tree. And then the seed drops in. And then all of that works on it, and it grows, and the rain helps it, and the sunshine helps it. The tree grows, and it gives off oxygen and takes in carbon dioxide. And it took all of that, all of the codependence, to bring that tree to fruition. And the sun didn't do what the rain does. It can't do that. The rain doesn't do what the sun does. The worms and the insects aren't watering the tree. They all have interdependent components that allow that tree to grow. And it's the same with us. I see that as oneness. That we're all in this together. You've heard the term, it takes a village. My dad may not have given me the things that I needed to have a great relationship with my children and open up and be as, you know me, I wear my heart on my sleeve. But God gave me something that He didn't give my brothers and sisters. When we were in Tehran, Iran for about three and a half years. And in that time, I was like 2.5 to 5.5, something like that. And in that time, we had a nanny, and her name was Shamameh. And my brothers and sister told me that she adored me. That she held me and hugged me and nurtured me, played with me, and was with me all the time. And my brothers and sister didn't have that because they weren't getting that from my parents. I was lucky in that regard. So I was able in those formative years to open and love and cherish and get the things from Shamameh that I couldn't get from my parents. Interdependent co-arising. There's always someone in our lives that fill a different need. Our Father, it's not our Father's job, and it's not our job as a father to be everything for our kids. We do the best we can in any given moment. We have to recognize that about our fathers and about ourselves. We're doing the best we can. And sometimes, some of us are brilliant. And sometimes some of us aren't. And yet we're still individualized expressions of the divine. The divine never stopped loving my dad. Never. Never stops loving me. Never stops loving the most hated of us. The love of the divine is in all of us. And it's up to us to recognize it and bring it out. In the reading, I and my Father are one. The whole reading was talking about us connecting with the Father, the divine, the infinite intelligence and wisdom in the world. That's our source. Not our fathers, not our mothers, not our best friends, not our partners or spouses. God is our source of well-being. So, I was able to... I've been thinking about this. That's the nice thing about doing the talk, is that you get to reflect and go inside. And I realized that how many wonderful things that I did get from my dad. My dad, he was a brilliant storyteller. And all of us kids got that. Tell a story like nobody's business. But I also got to see him respect people. I got to see him always shaking hands and connecting with people. Whenever I was with my dad at the airport or when I flew with my dad, everybody said, "We love your dad. Your dad is great." And he was. One of my favorite memories of my dad is I was living in Dallas and he'd moved up to Washington State. And he came back, he called me and said, "Hey, I'm coming down for a week. I want to see you and see some other people and stuff." I said, "Great." So, and I warned him, I said, "I'm living with 3 other people in the house, 2 women and another man. So that's where you're staying, Dad." And he goes, "All right." But there was a night that it was his birthday, and I wanted to treat him to a dinner. And I worked at the bar, at the restaurant, and I was behind the bar, and he came in, and I introduced him to some people at the bar. And I said, I'll be back, Dad, I gotta go upstairs and do my checkout. So I went upstairs, and I came down, and my dad's sitting there, and there's about 10 people listening to him, and he's telling a story. And he's got these 10 people in the palm of his hand, and they are listening to every single word. And that was my dad. And I learned how to do that. I learned how to do that. That's one of the many things that I got from my dad. I had to step back and I had to see it from back here, but I gained from my dad. And the most important thing I gained from my dad is I recognized what I didn't want to do with my kids. I said, relatively, like in my 20s, I can remember thinking, I want to have a great relationship with my kids. That was important to me. And I always worked on it. I work on it today. My daughter just, if you know me, you know this. My daughter was just teaching me and has taught me about boundaries. Up until recently, I had no boundaries. None. It wasn't taught me. And it took some work on both of our parts. But she spoke, I listened, she spoke. I spoke, she listened, back and forth. And I'm a better person for it. And it was always important to me. I played with my kids. I went to their sports. I had a blast with my kids. In the beginning, I modeled my dad. I was a yeller too. And I yelled at my kids all the time. And I went to a workshop, and I kept that commitment of being the best dad I could. That I wanted to be a great dad. And I was in a workshop called the Forum, and I recognized in the Forum that I was yelling at my kids. And it was to their detriment. And I finally, I recognized it one day, and I went in the mornings. I took the kids to the daycare before school. And Jacqueline inevitably was forgetting something. And so I had to get them to there and then get to work on time. So every morning, poor little thing, she'd be going, Dad, I forgot, ... Oh, Jacqueline, I told you to bring everything in here. And we go back to the house and come back and I'd be at work. And I finally recognized the toll that it was taking on Jacqueline. And in the Forum, I was able to go, oh, I brought it from back here and turned it around and went and looked at it. So I went to her school. I took lunch and went to her school, and she saw me, she goes, Dad, and ran over to me. And I said, hey, sweetie, and she's going, Dad. And I said, hold on for a second, sweetie, hold on. I said, I want to apologize to you for yelling at you. And I'm going to try and not do that anymore. Because I love you. And I don't want to yell at you, and I don't want to shut you down. And she turned to me, she looked at me, and she goes, Dad, look at this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this, and look at this. She knew she wasn't sitting there going, yeah, Dad. Yeah, you did that. She was so happy to see me. She wanted to show me around her place. The realization was for me, not for her. And I've carried that and worked on that and worked on my relationship with my kids. And I've got a fabulous relationship with my kids. My kids love me, and I love my kids. And it's something I work on every single day. And now I got 2 grandkids. And they invite me over to spend time with them and my grandkids. They make time for me to be with my grandkids. And it's fabulous. Interdependent co-arising. I wouldn't be where I am with all of the people, all of the connections, the divine knowingness that is right here, right where you are. That's our source. That's where we find our love. The divine brings people into our lives left and right that bring us different things that we need. And that may be somebody we're butting heads with. That's growth also. It's not just the people we love, it's the people that we're... It's all interdependent co-arising. Look for the good. Look for the divinity in everyone. Look for the divinity in our fathers. It's there. Which story are you going to tell? Because I could tell the story of my father was unemotional and distant and never around, or I could tell the story of my father that everybody loved. He was a master storyteller. That he taught me to be kind to people. He taught me to shake hands, to be respectful of people. And I can tell either story. I like that one. I like the other story. So we can we've got choice. We can choose to see the divinity and the magnificence in our fathers, or not to. Which is going to make you feel better? Which is going to lift you up? Which is going to have you see the divinity in our fathers, in your father, in yourself? Remember us as fathers. We're doing the best we can in any given moment. And the divine is right there, guiding us, loving us, supporting us always. So I want to take a minute. Everybody close your eyes. We're going to take a nice deep breath. Breathing in the breath of God. Feeling that presence of the divine. Letting go of everything that is not of the divine. Relax into it. Feel that unconditional love. Now I want you to bring up in your mind's eye your Father. I want you to see and feel the divinity in your Father. I want you to recognize the love that is there. I want us all to shower right now our fathers with that divine love. See little red hearts showering upon them. Feel that connection with our fathers. Feel that love. Express that love. Shower them with that love. Now I want you to see ourselves in our mind's eye, all of us, and shower ourselves with love. Feel that divine love, that peace. Feel that divinity. Know that it's yours by divine right. Happy Father's Day.